Hey folks, Nathan here from Star Wars Beyond the Films, the Star Wars Timeline Gold, and Cloud City Casino, a Star Wars gaming podcast over at StarWarsReport.com, bringing you a look at an adventure module for Force and Destiny. This is Chronicles of the Gatekeeper, and yes, this came out quite a while ago. This, Mask of the Pirate Queen for Edge of the Empire and Age of Rebellion's Friends Like These are so dense with material that it's taken me a long time to get through all of them to add information to my Star Wars Timeline Gold. The most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere, by the way, which is over at StarWarsFanWorks.com/timeline. I'm finally getting to them, finally got through all the Chronicles of the Gatekeeper, got it all summarized and everything, so now I can give you a detailed review. Friends Like These and Mask of the Pirate Queen are next. This one actually is a really cool adventure for Force and Destiny, one that I will definitely recommend to you, as my cat is over there sneezing and you might be able to hear the storm coming down on the roof here. It's just an odd day to be recording. So, here's what we've got. We have a basic premise here, set up by its little introduction, and then it is a three-act play, so to speak. The Gatekeeper's Legacy, and then we've got a second chapter called Chasing Ghosts, and then finally another chapter here, and no, these covers don't necessarily give anything away, Chronicles End. The gist here is that there was this Jedi, ooh, ominous if you hear the thunder in the background, that's actually kind of cool. There's this Jedi named Soljo Ward back in the days of the Clone Wars, and he develops a special new ability, which you'll find in the book available to you if you manage to learn it. It's called Ward's Foresight, and it's basically the ability to look into the future. But in looking into the future, it's not so much an always in motion, the future is kind of thing, so much as sort of a philosophy that the future is fixed. And what he's seeing are the actions of others and being able to predict what decisions they're going to make, and in doing so predict the repercussions and sort of the next step of what predicted activities other people will do, and so on and so on. He gets so good at this, wow, very ominous. He gets so good at this that actually while he is fighting in the Clone Wars and he is called to Cato Nemoidia at one point, which of course is a battle we see in the Clone Wars cartoon series and that we see in Revenge of the Sith, he's able to predict the actions of different separatist ships in that system that aren't even near Cato Nemoidia itself. They just happen to be in the system. It's a very powerful ability, but he's focused on this idea that the future is fixed and what he's seeing absolutely must be true, which of course leads to a lot of issues while he's in the Clone Wars, things like a Minority Report style of saying, hey, this person is going to act against the Republic, I have foreseen it, arrest him before he can do anything. He becomes kind of a controversial figure, and it gets to a point where basically there was going to be some peace negotiations over the battle on Cato Nemoidia to get it to end, and he acted in a way that was in keeping with his foresight and what he expected was going to happen, but it led to some pretty tragic events and led to him being essentially on the run from his own people. And you, as the heroes, wind up running into his holocron, and you want to seek out his trail to find where he went, because what he did was he saw that this ability, again, Ward's Foresight, was just way too powerful for anyone who might use it for the wrong reasons. Of course, he certainly didn't see himself as being able to be corrupted and use it for the wrong reasons. Hell no. But yeah, that's kind of what the guy did at times. The idea was, though, that to keep this very powerful ability out of the wrong hands, instead of putting it directly into his holocron, he put it onto 3 different kyber crystals that have to be inserted into his holocron in order to give that holocron's gatekeeper, the holographic figure, the knowledge necessary to teach anyone how to use this ability. But if they want to learn the ability and figure out whatever happened to Ward, they have to essentially go on this quest to find it, and that's where Chronicles of the Gatekeeper come in. The Gatekeeper being an image of Ward, so it's the chronicles of, the story of Soldier Ward. Their battle takes them, or their quest takes them to the planet Arbuine, where they deal with some local matters and a former friend of Ward. They eventually find their way to Cato Nemoidia, where they meet people who are, among others, veterans of the Clone Wars, affected by the Clone Wars, remnants of it, including an interesting new criminal syndicate based on Cato Nemoidia that has ties into some things that happened with Ward during the Clone Wars, finds eventually an old Jedi outpost, and winds up on, let's just say it's a world we know under two different names because George Lucas changed the name of it for the Clone Wars, where they will have a final confrontation with either Ward or someone relating to him. I'll put it that way because I don't want to spoil it. But their path leads them sort of deep into dark side territory in order to finally get their hands on all three of the Kyber crystals to learn the ability of foresight, leaving the question also up in the air of whether or not the heroes themselves are even really able to be trusted with such a powerful force ability. But of course, if so, then you have Ward's foresight now as a force power tree added into the game, though there is a prerequisite of needing force binding 1, okay, or 1 plus. So, I don't want to give away too much. I actually thought this was a really cool story. You're learning more about the events that happen with Soldier Ward right before the end of the Clone Wars as they investigate, and the bulk of it takes place in the wake of the Battle of Yavin, with the heroes learning about this as they develop. Now, there's also some good suggestions of ways to tie this into your previous adventures if you have done any of them, so that hopefully you can make this fit organically into your story. But if you want a really cool, powerful force ability, unless you just want to completely keep the idea of possibly trying to predict the future out of your adventures, if you think that's a little bit too hinky of a mechanic, then you're probably going to want to pick up Chronicles of the Gatekeeper. It's one of the most solid RPG adventures I've seen from Fantasy Flight Games for their Star Wars line, hence me not wanting to spoil everything. If you are interested in the story and you want to be spoiled on it, you're not going to play it or anything like that, keep an eye out in October of 2017, around October 17, 2017, when my Star Wars Timeline Gold hits its 20th anniversary. Yes, I've been doing it my entire adult life. You'll be able to pick that up at StarWarsFanWorks.com/timeline, and yes, all kinds of event references and a summary will be available for Chronicles of the Gatekeeper. But in this video, this is about a review of the product and whether you should get it, and heck, I would say that of all of them, this is one you actually should put on your to-grab list while it is still out there and available. We'll be back in the relatively near future, finally looking at Friends Like These and Mask of the Pirate Queen from Age of Rebellion and Edge of the Empire, respectively.